Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you. Welcome to the Krame Center for Mindful Living. Welcome back to those of you who are a regular part of our mindfulness community and meditation group. And a nice warm welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. Just a little bit about us. We are a global nonprofit organization whose mission is to make the benefits of mindfulness, self compassion, and positive psychology accessible to all. Our goal is to help people become more resilient and live better lives through our various programs. We offer affordable pricing and scholarships, as well as these free weekly meditations. Our theme for the months of March and April is Spring into Resilience, and this week's theme is Trust and Letting Go. And I would like to begin with a quote by Rebecca Ray. She says, "The moment that we let go and trust the universe in the face of uncertainty and change, opportunities will show up in the unlikeliest forms and places." Maybe just let those words land if they resonate. I find that quote to be quite wonderful. And trust and letting go are two very important aspects of mindfulness and meditation. And I'm really excited to explore them with you today. So, as we practice mindfulness and meditation, it's important that we develop a basic trust in ourselves and our feelings. Not only is this important in meditation, but it's important in life. Having trust in yourself means being your own person and understanding what it means to be yourself. In practicing mindfulness, we are practicing taking responsibility for being ourselves, and we're learning to listen to and to trust our own being. The more that we cultivate this trust in our own being, the easier we will find it to trust other people more. It will also help us to trust in the things we cannot control. It will help us to trust in the wisdom that things will unfold as they should and in their due time. Developing a basic trust in ourselves is really about tapping into our own innate wisdom, which is always available to us, but it's often quite overlooked. Sometimes we even dismiss it, and this happens when we remain caught up in the thinking mind. But the intentionality of turning toward ourselves and honoring our feelings begins to promote an equanimity between the mind and the body. And it also allows us to tap into an intelligence that is quite likely greater than the thinking mind. One way to trust our own wisdom is to trust the information we receive from our bodies and to trust in our emotional intelligence. Often, our physical bodies will give us cues or information, and this usually happens before it even registers cognitively. So, the more that we practice mindfulness and develop this mind body connection, the better able we are to tap into this. I also want to highlight here that sometimes the thoughts we have about a particular experience or situation don't match our emotions or physical sensations. Perhaps you've had this happen to you. I know I've had this happen to me before. And it's important to remember that our thoughts are not facts and that sometimes we need to go with our gut or go with our heart. And when we trust and honor our intuition, this internal North Star or guiding light, it allows us to make intentional choices about how we would like to show up in the world and live our lives. This innate wisdom allows us to pave our path in a way that feels aligned, meaningful, and purposeful. I do want to highlight that while sometimes we put our best foot forward and we try our hardest to show up in a way that's significant to us and in alignment with how we want to live, life doesn't always pan out as planned. And when life doesn't unfold according to our plans, we can employ another important element of mindfulness: letting go. Letting go or non attachment is letting our experience be what it is in the moment. Letting go is truly a way of accepting things as they are, which makes room for new possibilities. When we practice mindfulness, we pay attention to our inner experience. And as we do this, we often discover that there are certain thoughts, feelings, and situations that the mind wants to hold on to. When we cannot let go, we can make a commitment to ourselves to let it be. We can let it be just for now, just for this moment. And once we let things be, we can employ trust in the things that we sometimes cannot control. We can trust that things will work out how they are supposed to and when they are supposed to. And that although life does not always necessarily unfold according to our plans, in the end, it usually works out. Have you ever had an experience where a challenge or difficulty ended with an unexpected twist, ended in a way that taught you something or brought about some positive outcome? I want to mention here that although sometimes there might be a break in the clouds and we end up with a positive outcome in challenging moments if we trust in our experience, this doesn't mean that we should live our lives in passive resignation and just always leave it up to the universe. It does mean, however, that we continue to live our lives with intention, putting our best foot forward and trusting that everything will work out when we have to let things be. We just may be surprised by the unexpected outcome. And so now I'd like to transition us into the formal portion of our meditation today. And so I'd like to invite you to find a comfortable seat, a comfortable posture, whether that's sitting or lying down. And then when you're ready, just allowing the eyes to close or softening the gaze, bringing the attention inward, tuning in, coming home to your own body, coming home to yourself. And just continuing to settle. And as you do, perhaps becoming aware of the fact that the body is breathing. Maybe noticing how it's breathing all on its own with no need to do anything at all. And just gently resting the awareness on the breath in the body. Noticing one breath in, one breath out. Another breath in, and another breath out. And continue to follow the breath in this way. Staying with each breath, breath by breath, and moment by moment. Just continuing to ride the waves of the natural breath cycle. staying with our tried and true companion that is the breath. And now I would like to invite you to call to mind a struggle in your own life that perhaps at the time seemed very challenging or difficult to bear at the time, and that looking back had some unexpected positive outcome. So maybe it taught you something, or maybe it opened the door to new possibilities, new opportunities. So please choose something that is far enough in the past and something that's clearly resolved. Again, choosing a struggle or challenge in your own life that seemed difficult to bear at the time, but that looking back had an unexpected positive outcome. And once you have called something to mind, just reflecting back on this situation, calling to mind as many details as possible. So, recalling where you were, who you were with, what happened, taking some time to reflect on the details of this situation. And now, reflecting on if you held tightly to how you wanted this situation to be. So maybe you clung to this situation, or perhaps you were pushing away this unwanted situation, resisting what was happening. And what were the feelings that arose when you clung to or resisted your experience? Were there feelings of yearning, mourning, frustration, anger, fear, anxiety? So, just reflecting on the feelings that arose when you clung to or resisted your experience. And now begin to think about how these emotions felt in the body. Was there tension? And if so, where was this in the body? What did it feel like? Was there a pit in your stomach, a tightness in the chest, a lump in your throat? a headache, just seeing if it's possible to revisit the nature of the experience, reflecting on the emotions that were felt in the body. And now asking yourself, what was the positive outcome of this experience? This deeper lesson that the challenge or difficulty taught me that maybe I wouldn't have learned otherwise? Or how did this situation open up the door for new possibilities, for new opportunities in my life? Taking some time to reflect on this. And knowing that there was a positive outcome in this experience, knowing what you know now, how might it have been to let go of the clinging or resisting? How might it have been to let it be? How might this have eased your experience? Letting go or letting be the things you cannot control. And what would it have been like to trust? To trust in the wisdom that things will unfold as they should and in their due time. To trust that there would be a positive outcome, a deeper lesson learned, or a door opened for new possibilities, new opportunities. Perhaps even saying this word silently to yourself. You may even want to say it out loud. Trust, and notice how this word lands. What comes to mind when you hear it, when you say it? Perhaps it's images of a trusted friend, a loved one, or maybe even a pet that come to mind. We often think of others when we think of trust. Maybe what comes up are feelings of safety, protection, or knowing that you can depend on someone no matter what. They've got your back. They would never do anything to harm you mentally or physically. Their motives are pure, and they truly have your best interest at heart. So now just taking some time to tune into the meaning of trust, the strength of trust, the felt sense of trust. What does it feel like? What does trust feel like? And just allowing yourself to be with whatever arises. And taking a moment now to observe any feelings or sensations in the body that you might be becoming aware of as you sense into the meaning of trust. So maybe it's a softness in the belly, maybe it's a warmth all over the body, perhaps it's a lightness in the chest, maybe it's even a slight bubbling of something that resembles joy. And whatever it is that you're feeling, just take a moment to tune into that. Really allowing yourself to become familiar with the feeling of trust and maybe even enjoying it. And now, the invitation is to continue to hold in your awareness all that has made itself known to you. And just holding this in your awareness. And as we sense into the feelings and sensations that accompany letting go and trust, we become familiar with them. This then allows us to notice when we experience them in our day to day life. And it also gives us the comfortability to turn to letting go and trust when we need to most. And now just gently directing the attention back onto the breath in the body. So coming home to the breath once again. And I would like to offer this poem by Suzanne Hayski. It's called Trust the Universe. I must trust the universe. I must take my cue from the stars. I must listen to the infinite wisdom hidden in their shining silence. Everything that must be will be in its own time, of its own mind. I am meant to witness, to observe, to learn, to accept. I simply hold myself steady. The road ahead is long and uncertain. I must preserve my energy. I must keep parts of me in reserve. I must tend to my tiny garden. I must mend my fence and stock my shelves. I must rely on my own resources until the storm passes. And just beginning to wiggle fingers and toes, making slight movements in the body, opening the eyes whenever you're ready. Maybe taking a moment to reorient back into your space. And I would like to offer a weekly tip, as we always do. And this invitation that I'd like to offer is for you to take the time this week to notice when you're facing a difficulty or challenge. And when this difficulty or challenge presents itself, you may naturally ruminate, right? We're human. You might be thinking of how you wish it weren't so, or perhaps you're clinging to an idea of how you think things should be. And when this happens, see if it's possible to let the situation be just for a moment, right? Even just for a moment. And then from this more balanced place, intentionally move forward, trusting in the wisdom that things will work out, that things will unfold as they should in their due time. And as we conclude today, I just want to leave us with a few announcements. We do have a spring mindful self compassion course beginning next week on April 28th. This course will take place on Thursday evenings from 6:30 to 9, and it will be led by Catherine and I. And I'll also be teaching a spring MBSR course that will take place on Friday mornings from 9:30 until noon, and that will be beginning on May 6th. I'd like to thank you all for your practice as always. It's such a pleasure to come together in community. I'd like to wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Be well, everyone. Take good care of yourselves. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye, everyone. Thank you.